So here's white versus the modern, lesson 2, part 1. E4, G6, D4. There's a move called the monkey's bum that was invented by Nigel Povey and Charlie Kenow, which are both members of London and Brighton's chess club. So their variation is this: bishop c4, bishop g7. They conceived the idea of playing queen f3 in order to force black into the unappetizing e6. Their main line ran d4, bishop takes d4, knight e2, bishop g7, knight b c3, knight c6, bishop f4, knight e5, bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5, queenside castle. When white can follow up with queen e3 and then play f4 and a general advance on the king side. The name came about after they showed the sequence to a fellow club member, Cotes, who said, "If that works, I'm a monkey's bum." So that's kind of clever. So let's go back to here, d4, bishop g7, knight c3, c6, bishop c4. This has a good reputation as it discourages black from playing d5. Therefore, black usually renounces the idea and settles for d6. Actually, d5 is still possible if we look at what happens after that. d5, e takes d5, b5, bishop b3, knight b4, knight c e2, c takes d5. Black has regained the pawn, but it is still thought that white can gain advantage by bishop d2, a5, a3, bishop takes a3, rook takes a3, and the black a-pawn is very weak and is liable to drop off in this scenario here. So let's back up. Black just played c3, bishop c4, d6, queen f3. Note that the line with queen f3 is often known as the monkey's bum variation, but this is in fact a misnomer. It's only a close relation to the monkey's bum, as we mentioned before. I guess because of everything else that's changed on the board. So now, the play could have gone knight f5, knight f3, knight f6, bishop b3, which gets a brief mention later, and is slightly in white's favor. So we go back to queen to f3, e6. The point of white's rather crude move is that black now is unable to develop naturally with a move like knight f6 because of e5 and the fear of mate. e6, knight g e2, b5. Black helps himself to some queenside space. The main alternative here is knight d7 when castles knight g f6, bishop b3, castles bishop g5, h6, bishop h4, e5, rook a d1, queen e7, rook e3. Gave white a better game in this championship in Asia in 2003. White's pieces are more active and has the f2 to f4 looming. So let's come back here. White just moved his knight to e2, and black plays b5. So bishop b3, a5, a3, bishop a6, and white castles. you might say that d5 is a much sharper alternative, although the current view is that black is doing alright after c takes d5, e takes d5, e5, or e takes d5, e5, knight e4, h6, g4, knight f6, knight 2, g3, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and castles. So not too bad. Okay. Black just played bishop a6 and white castles. Knight d7, bishop f4, queen e7, b5, d5, queen e3, and we see here white has a slightly better game.